All right, guys. Good morning. As promised, I was going to talk about this, and since I talked about a couple of celebrities we lost, it started out Saturday morning with the passing of Little Richard and Andre Harrell, a former CEO of Uptown Records, and then we turned around. We lost two more since that time. Two more celebrities that I grew up watching and listening to as well. So let's get on into it. This is DJ Wolf Live. All right, guys. As you know, I've already talked about legends Andre Harrell, who ran Uptown Records, who launched the careers of Mary J. Blige, Jodeci, P. Diddy, and at some point Biggie. And he started out as a rapper with the group Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I remember the group. Don't really remember the song. I had to go back and listen to it. And then later on, got into film and television work. Most notably, the Fox hit series New York Undercover, a show that I loved, man. I love watching that show. It was one of my favorite. It was one of my favorite urban crime dramas. There's not a lot of them that's out there. But as far as urban crime police dramas, it was one of the best I've seen. Anyway, couple things other came to mind besides his passing. Because I'm gonna get into it about all of them. And then found out that legendary R&B songstress, longtime legendary R&B songstress Betty Wright passed away yesterday. The crazy part about it was TV One had just did an unsung on Betty Wright about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We just saw it. We just saw it. Sat right there and saw it. And then I found out they said she was diagnosed with cancer from back last fall. But they didn't give any details other than that. She was 66. And then this morning I wake up and find out a comedian I grew up watching for decades from the time I was a little boy. Jerry Stiller passed away at the age of 92. Him and his wife, the late Ann Mirror, were a comedy team, as you might have known for you old heads, as Stiller and Mirror. I used to love these guys, man. I really did. And I know some people, hey, who were they? These were two white people. They were a couple. They were a married couple. They were a comedy team. And they were brilliant. I mean, they were brilliant. I mean, even when I was a kid, I adored them. I really did. I really did. And I watched them for decades. They were masters at their craft. They really were. And they didn't do any cussing. I mean, nothing I can recall. At least not on television, anyway. So, they were comedians who knew how to be funny without cursing. They were comedians who knew how to be funny without being verbally vulgar. I mean, they were brilliant. He was on Seinfeld later on. He resurged his career. He was doing he was more in the movies, and he did a movie with his son, actor director Ben Stiller. In Zoolander, he's on Seinfeld for a number of years. He had a recurring role on Seinfeld. I always said they should have made him a regular on Seinfeld because he was that funny. He stole the show every time he was on Seinfeld. Funny as hell. And then he later on became a regular on the hit series King of Queens. And he was also pretty funny on that too. But I thought Seinfeld was like the show, to be honest, for him. I used to watch Seinfeld anyway. Seinfeld was funny as hell. I didn't really get into Seinfeld really till like about the mid-90s. Prior to that, I didn't really watch it that much myself. But he was on when he was on Seinfeld, I used to watch it though. It used to crack me up. Betty Wright was a singer who started out, she was discovered at the age of like 12, 13, something like that. And by 14, she had her first record out in 1967. I can't even remember the name of the record, but the one she's most known for is one my folks used to play to death all the time. Yep, none other than "Made It Easy for Clean Up Woman." Clean Up Woman was a bad record. I ain't gonna lie. I loved the hell out of that record. The musicians, the background music was the music itself was tight. I mean, I loved it. That classic guitar. It was just one of those records that, you know, especially when you was in the club back then, you made you get up. You know, of course, when he went to those kiddie dances back in the 1970s, made you get up and dance anyway. That's another story. And she was like 17 when she put that record out. I mean, I didn't know she was that young. I thought she was a much older. I thought she was a woman, you know, very seasoned woman, like in her 30s or something. I didn't realize she was still a kid when I was a kid. I was shocked when I heard about it. I said, "What?" Because I'm 50. I'm in my mid 50s now. I was like, wow, she wasn't much older than me. To tell you the truth, I was shocked when I was like, "What?" So, but she had a ton of hits out. Tonight's the Night, Clean Up Woman, No Pain, No Gain. She had a bunch of records out. I mean, just naming some of the most iconic records that she put out. And she had got back. Matter of fact, the hip hoppers that she worked with was like from DJ Khaled to P Diddy. She was I remember she was a coach. She was coaching singers that P Diddy recruited on his making the band show. And then she did some work with DJ Khaled on top of that. And then she was back on tour for a while. But she, man, she was a powerhouse. A powerhouse in her own right. She really was. Owned her own record label, Miss B Records. And I think, matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, she sang on the same label as KC. Yeah, she did. KC and Sunshine Band. They were on the label mates. You know, so. But Betty Wright was a big deal. I think she was, personally, and I've said for decades, she was one of the most underrated singers on the planet. I mean, definitely a major hit maker in her own right. You know. Speaking of people that didn't really get any credit, Little Richard. Little Richard, really, if you think about it, was the most influential rock and roll star of all time. You know? He really was. Little Richard was Mr. Rock and Roll. That's no joke. I mean, he had hits. He had hits out for you, boy. He had some hits. You know, like I said, Lucille, Good Golly, now I'm gonna tell you right now, Good Golly Miss Molly was one of my all-time favorite Little Richard records. I love that record. That record just had to get you jumping and dancing no matter what. Good Golly, from the beginning. You know, he was just a singer, man, as far as the rock era, because he sang a bluesy, he sang an R&B, he sang a rock, he sang a gospel. I mean, Little Richard wasn't in with the type of music, the genres that he was hitting. Because I just watched a concert show that he did. I think it was in Canada somewhere. It was either Canada or somewhere. Anyway, and he was on there. He co-hosted. He was hosting. It was a special he did back in year was born 1964 with the Shirelles, and they did a gospel song. Sang "God Joy Down My Heart." I mean, he sang the hell out of the song. You know. But he ended up doing gospel later on at one point in his life. But he was flamboyant, let's be real, you know. And people try to say he was gay. No, Little Richard was bisexual. And by his own admission, he did love women. He said that in a couple of interviews. And he was a womanizer. He was in the dudes, but I think he was on the DL with the dudes. But he definitely was in the women. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, people say what they want, but that's a pretty well known fact. You know, but that's another story. The thing of it is, He was a brilliant singer, brilliant songwriter, brilliant musician. I mean, legendary rock and roll artist who created, really, far as I'm concerned, he created rock and roll, really. Based on what the songs that he did, hey, you jumping. I'm just telling you right now. And like I said, Lucille, Good Golly, Miss Molly, Tutti Frutti, just name a few. And he was a master of what he did. He spawned out other legends, the Beatles, who he toured with overseas when he was overseas touring back in the 60s. I mean, he got his biggest shine there. As a matter of fact, he resurged. He kept resurging as an artist from that point on after the 50s. And the Beatles used Little Richard's launching pad to resurge or get them into the spotlight because of Little Richard. The Rolling Stones, Elton John, Freddie Mercury, those guys all were out there like they were because of guys like Little Richard. That's a known fact. Michael Jackson, Prince. I could just keep going on. George Michael, I just keep going on. Little Richard was the architect of rock and roll, just like he said. He was. And I'm going to give him his shine because he deserved it. He deserved it. He deserved that much respect. And the thing I understand, I remember when Elvis Presley died back in 1977. I remember it very well. For some reason I was out of school that day because it was on a Wednesday. Oh, that's right. Yeah. It was summertime. Because he died in August. And like I said, it was on a Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? Something like that. I don't remember. I know it was during the week when he died. But it was the first televised funeral I ever saw of a celebrity. I'm not sure. I don't recall if they ever had televised funerals of celebrities before. But when they did one of Dr. Martin Luther King, and I did see that one. I actually saw the casket. Not the. I take that back. I didn't see the. Well, I didn't see the casket, but I saw where he was buried at, and I saw when I was in Atlanta, and I saw the horse carriage that carried the body of Dr. King at the King Center. But Elvis Presley was the first celebrity whose funeral was televised that I ever saw. That's no joke. And all three networks carried it. I remember that. That was a big deal. It was a big deal. And but it's funny. They did all kinds of specials on Elvis. There were dozens of specials and movies on Elvis. Chuck Berry been dead for a few years. I have not seen any major television specials or movies on him. I don't know if they're going to do that with Little Richard either. Matter of fact, they didn't say a whole lot about Little Richard on television. Now, I'm watching the Today Show. And I'm watching the first hour of the Today Show. The Today Show did not mention anything about Little Richard, Andre Harrell, or Betty Wright. But as soon as Jerry Stiller, who I also like, passed away, they talked about him, and they briefly talked about him, took a commercial break, and did another segment on him. They didn't mention the other three. Not one mention. I'm just saying, they all deserve to be mentioned because they were all legendary in their own right. Little Richard, one of the biggest names of rock and roll history. He was the pioneer, the architect of rock and roll. Of modern day rock. He was the modern day rock. That's really what I'm telling you. Now I can vouch for that. Because he was outrageous, he was wild, He was all about the sex, drugs, and rock. He personified that. He was the architect of all that. He really was, literally. In his performances, and from my understanding, off stage too. Betty Wright, very young female artist, and came on her own at the age of 14 with records and expanded. You know, I mean, she was very young. You know, legendary. Andre Harrell made stars from Uptown. Come on, these people were legends. They were as legendary as Jerry Stiller. You know, who was a legend in his own right as well. So I feel all four of them should be honored. To be honest. Just saying. All four should have been honored. I just haven't seen on it, but I'm honoring all four of them today myself. Because they all four deserve it. I mean, I'm sorry. I am very sorry to hear the passing of these four, man. Because like I said, three of them I grew up watching. The other one, when I was in the military, I used to listen to his music a lot. His music was all over the place. I'm referring to Andre Harrell's label, Uptown Records. You know, Heavy D, I think, was another artist that started on Uptown. But the thing of it is, man, I mean, my condolences to all of the families of these great legends in entertainment. They all deserve the props. They all deserve our props, man. Just saying. So, with that in mind, this is DJ Wolf. I'm out.